G'day see-through parents, I'm your host Karien Pitout.
Hey Mom, where do babies come from?
I'll be with you. So that happened. So, where do babies come from? How do we broach the topic of sex? And we have this discussion. How do we explain it to our kids? Good news. If you're pregnant, Mom, you can start from birth. And no, I will explain later on during the video how we start the conversation before we even get to the topic of sex. And then those who have a bit older kids will look at different age-appropriate ways to engage the topic that hopefully negates our own discomfort. Now there's a primary reason that we as parents are kind of uncomfortable with this conversation, and it is mostly because the topic of sex, unless it is portrayed in media or you happen to end up having the conversations with friends over a glass of wine, we don't really talk about sex now, do we? In society there's this big hush-hush, and a lot of people walk around with a lot of shame regarding the topic of sex. It is so easy for us to rather parent our children always from a position of our own comfort zone, that we either glance or miss vital opportunities to have these important conversations with our kids. So, if you're pregnant, you heard, hey, she said I need to start from birth. Oh my word. So here's how we do it. We don't jump right into, hey dude, do you know what sex is? No. We start age appropriately, and we start with the body parts. Because in the end of the day, our genitalia is what we use for the act of sex. So what do I do? How do I do this? From birth, your child has a penis or a vagina. Not a willy and a flower, a snake and a cupcake, a tortilla and a down under. The amount of euphemisms that we use to describe genitalia actually causes more harm than good. Oh, but it sounds so crude when a child says penis or vagina. I know. And the reason it sounds crude on our ears is because we were raised to believe that those words are so sacred. It is actually not even sacred. It is words to be ashamed of. It is a part of our body that carries so much shame because of generations and generations of shaming the act of sex, masturbation, and general genital health. To give you an idea how bad it was at a stage, and be grateful that we're in this era now, in the Middle Ages, they actually had this machine that if a man or a boy would have erections during their sleep cycle, which is actually a normal, common thing to happen to their bodies, there was these spikes that would actually wake them up because it would hurt their penis. And some men actually died and got infections in the penile area due to this contraption. The moms who are pregnant and you're expecting a boy, don't be surprised when your baby boy, newborn, gets an erection during their sleep cycle. There is a medical reason why the body does that. I'm not going to look at that right now. But during every sleep cycle, when a person who has a penis sleeps and they go to the deepest part of their sleep cycle, they have an erection. That is why some people with penises, when they wake up in the morning, they have a morning glory. The erection is because they woke up mid-deep sleep, and once they're properly awake or have to focus, the penis becomes flaccid again. So don't get a fright or feel shocked or get worried that your infant has an erection. That's quite normal. The female clitoris does the same. The only thing is we don't see the blank as picture tent. So let's get back to why we call the genitalia by name. Why do we call it a penis, and a vagina from birth? First of all, it is a body part. My nose, my ear, my eyes, my knees, my feet, my elbows, my hands, all body parts have proper names, and we call them by that. My ear isn't all of a sudden a rock or a chair. I know it sometimes feels like our children's ears are inanimate objects because it doesn't look like it's functioning, but we'll discuss that on different other parenting conversations. Pedophiles get extremely uncomfortable when they hear a child use the word penis and vagina. Because like it sounds crude on our ears, for them it does the same. It breaks down for them in their heads the innocence of the child. And you can use it to your advantage for your child to use the proper names. Should the situation be that the pedophile is not upset or uninfluenced by the fact that the child is using the proper names, it does help to lower the secondary traumatization that a child experiences when they have to report molestation or even rape. If a child does not know the biological name for their genitals, when they are preparing for a court case or when they want to report it and they use a euphemism, it can lead to confusion. Just as an example, there was a girl in a creche who came to her teacher and said, "Ma'am, my uncle licks my cookie," or licked my cookie. "Ma'am, my uncle licked my cookie." The teacher thought it was just a random story that the child was sharing with her, and she told the child, "Oh, that must have been gross. Tell your uncle not to do that next time." 6 months later, they finally discovered that the parents have been using the word cookie for her genitalia, and that the uncle was busy molesting the little girl, and the little girl was actually telling her teacher what was going on. But due to the euphemism, it took 6 months longer for the family to be able to step in and help this girl and save this girl from this situation. We are extremely uncomfortable with the word penis and vagina because we were taught to be gay, but that is still not broaching the subject of sex. I want to know, if my child asks me, where do babies come from, how do I do that? You start with the genitals, and at the risk of sounding odd, you work your way up. The next thing that you can do is invest in a good book that explains to children what their bodies look like and how their bodies function. We have a book called How Does My Body Work? I have read that book to my kids since birth. They would page through the book. There's anatomy, there's hearts, there's veins, there's nerve systems, there's the whole body, including the penis and the vagina, sperm cells and egg cells, and a whole discussion on that. And also a discussion about what is privacy. Everything was in this, like basically in this book, of biology book. I let my kids page through it and ask questions about it. And thanks to the book, I was capable of working through my own discomfort about the topic, and when just by being forced to read this book and read it for them. Our children know what it takes to make a baby, at least the genetic side. You need a sperm cell and you need an egg cell, and they know that an egg cell comes from a person who has ovaries, a uterus and a vagina, and that sperm cells come from someone that has testes and a penis. We still haven't really dove into talking about sex itself. We are just going into the biology of where do babies come from. When we actually start talking about sex, it is really a good idea to do it. Once again, get a book and discuss the different aspects. We have discussed masturbation in our home as well. And we only have 2 rules. I don't want to see it and I don't want to clean it. Privacy is essential. Our kids deserve that, but our kids also deserve honesty. As they grow older, we need to be open to have the conversation that dives deeper and deeper and deeper into the relationship with sex, our bodies, our genitals, and relationships. And that is the prerogative of the family and of the parents. But if we keep on sidestepping it, if we keep on feeling uncomfortable having these conversations with our kids, we're so scared that we will be the reason that they end up as pregnant teenagers, we are missing the mark. Information helps with decision making. The more information I have, the better I will be at making good decisions and good choices. So if I do not give the information to my child that they deserve regarding this topic, then I am denying them the ability to make healthy choices. So from 0 to 3 biological names. At the age of about 3, have a book around with biology. Let them learn everything about the body, the eye, the ears, everything, which includes the genitals and the reproductive system. And as they grow older, when they start asking more questions and more delicate questions, you can start asking them, but what do you know? What do you think? And let them explain to you what they know, how they think things happen, and you can just fill in the blanks or correct misinformation. Our children are not growing up in an isolated bubble. They see things on TV. They have friends at school, sports activities, at church that have discussions. And sometimes they jump to conclusions that can be extremely weird. If you are honest and matter of fact about the reproductive system and where babies come from, your kids will trust you, that you will be honest and direct and truthful about the deeper aspects of sex. They will trust you and come and ask and engage with you on important topics like condoms, the pill, safe sex, STDs, STIs, and even periods. While we're on the topic where babies come from, parents of all kids, doesn't matter what sex your child is, please have a discussion about menstruation with your kids. It means a more equal society. It means that there's less embarrassment and less shame connected to something that happens to 50% of the population. Less shame and a better and deeper understanding of our own humanity. Comment down below. When did you hear about sex? Was it from your parents or from your friends? What did you know? What ideas or things did you believe for a very long period of time regarding the reproductive system that you've discovered later on in life isn't really the truth? Thank you for joining us for this conversation. Have an absolutely beautiful day and hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in our next installment. Have a beautiful day. Cheers.